Alrighty, hot takes. These are so much fun because everybody has them. No two people think the exact same thing about every single topic, and that's what makes hot takes so fun. They're interesting, it creates some great discussion, and let's be real, they're a lot of fun. So I thought, why not? I've seen a few channels do this style of video, and I thought, hey, I want to do my own. So that's what we're doing today. Today, I'm reviewing your hot takes and giving my opinion on them. All of these were taken from my Instagram. I put a little questionnaire thing on my story the other day, and I'm not gonna lie. You guys who follow my Instagram, you destroyed it. You put way more hot takes than I was ready for. So this is actually going to be a multiple part series that I'm going to do over the next week or so because you guys just gave me so many hot takes. I love it. If you want your hot takes to be featured in a future video, be sure to follow me on Instagram at over.shore. The story isn't there anymore for you to drop your hot take, but feel free to DM me. Just specify it's a hot take, and I'll take it into consideration for the video. So I've done enough rambling on. Let's get on into these. First up, from David Key, Cody Johnson is underrated but still awesome. Unless I'm reading this wrong, you're kind of contradicting yourself that he's underrated, which would imply he's better than he's getting. But nevertheless, I'm not going to be that guy. I agree to an extent. However, Cody is really gaining steam. Over on Spotify, he's clocking in at almost 2.3 million monthly listeners. Now, I don't know how many of those are diamond in my pocket from the TikTok trend, but that trend was several months ago, and he's still holding his own past the 2 million mark. Mainstream-wise, I would agree he doesn't get as much attention as artists you'll hear on the radio every other time you turn it on. I don't know everything about how the radio works. I don't have any insider info, but from the outside looking in, I think it's fair to say he's not getting as much time under the spotlight as other mainstream artists that are really getting pushed by the big labels, but that shouldn't take away from his current success. 2.2 million monthly listeners is no easy task. This next one is from Wrath09. Hardy, Morgan Wallen, and Luke Combs would be the best concert ever. I have to agree. I think that's an incredibly stacked lineup you would probably only see at some mega concert. But each of those three really have distinct personalities and some songs that would really hit hard live, so I can't argue this in any way. Next is a bit of an interesting one from my good old friend Grayson. Independent country might be more popular than mainstream country in a couple years. I'm not sure where I stand on this. I do think independent country is on the rise, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if it will ever overtake mainstream in popularity. Let me explain it this way. The internet has changed the music industry in a big way. It lets the support of the fans show what's good or has lots of potential, as opposed to the old method, which was basically just big labels and business people choosing by what they think will sell the most. Zach Bryan is a great example of this. The internet was his bridge to success. His songwriting and low production style resonated with millions of people, and it translated into success that has brought more media attention on him, etc. So in that way, independent country is gaining a lot of steam, but you do have to realize what mainstream country is. Mainstream country is what is being pushed by the biggest names in the media, the biggest radio stations, even the award shows nowadays. There's only a certain amount of country music fans as opposed to the sheer amount of people that are music fans. If you're a pop fan or an R&B fan or just anything but a specifically country music fan, the country you're going to receive is going to be mainstream, whether it be on the radio, an advertisement on an app, anything. You're going to get the mainstream because the mainstream is what is pushed to the most amount of people. So in that sense, when you think about it, mainstream is always being pushed to more people than the independent. The independent I definitely think is growing, but I don't know if it will ever compete with the mainstream simply because of how broad it is. I mean, millions upon millions upon millions of people are exposed to mainstream country music every day, like I said, with the radio or advertisements, whereas independent country, you kind of have to dig for it because it's independent. It's not as broadly advertised because there's no label with a crap ton of money behind it pushing this on billboards and stuff. So you kind of have to find independent country, which basically means you have to already be a country fan, which is tying into my original point of there's only so many country music fans. If you're a country fan for a while, you'll dive deeper, you'll find new artists like Cody Jinks, for say. But Cody Jinks will not be put on the radio or advertised on apps or put on billboards for millions and millions of people to see. Therefore, sheerly based on exposure, mainstream just has way more eyes on it. Now, I must say, with independent country artists, I think you'll find a lot more devoted fan bases that are really invested in the artist as opposed to mainstream, but I feel like mainstream will always be this big tank in the industry, like it is in any musical genre. This isn't exclusive to country music, but to say independent country will be bigger than mainstream, I think just doesn't work, because at that point, the independent has almost become the mainstream. Bit of a tricky one, but I love that. I love thinking of these things. Please drop those like philosophical ones that almost don't have an answer. I love discussing these. All right, now I got one from Jack Robert. The Owl wasn't as bad as people said it was, but it was no foundation. I would have to disagree here. I believe this album got the general disapproval that it rightfully deserved, but context is important here. If a 25-year-old pop country artist released this album, it wouldn't be as openly disliked as I think it would simply be disregarded. But this is the Zac Brown Band. This is a group of men led by a 40-year-old man that have been in the industry for a long time. So it's hard to hear songs like OMW, which are such terrible attempts at a modern topic and sound, because it feels so fake. And let's be real, nobody wants to hear a song about a 40-year-old man texting his girl telling her he's on his way. Furthermore, this is a real drop-off. The fan base of the Zac Brown Band, myself included, mostly got turned on to them with The Foundation and their other earlier albums. And even if you were introduced later, Welcome Home was still a fantastic sounding album. But then to have such a drop in quality like The Owl from such a beloved band, it really failed to meet some pretty high expectations that the Zac Brown Band had set for themselves over the last decade. It's like the bar theory. Over the years, the Zac Brown Band have set the bar super high for themselves, with incredible output every time. They never missed. But then you get an album like The Owl, and they miss the bar drastically. So it leaves a more bitter taste in your mouth than when a radio pop country artist with an incredibly low bar meets that bar despite it being incredibly low. I hope that makes sense, but I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think The Owl was as bad as people said. And lastly, I got one from Zed Saint Amand. I think I butchered that. I'm sorry. Unrelated, but are you cheering for the Stars or Lightning? Oh my gosh! The Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm not even a Tampa Bay fan. I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan. But if Dallas wins the Stanley Cup, I don't know what I'm going to do. I would be so annoyed. Here's the thing, like, if you watch hockey, you're going to understand me here. Being a Western Conference fan of the Edmonton Oilers, it's not only hard to cheer for Dallas because they're my enemy, whatever. Not that Edmonton played Dallas. Edmonton lost to the 12 seed in the first round. Very first round to the worst team to make the playoffs this year. That stung. But aside from all that, you can't cheer for Corey Perry. It's plain as that. So, heated story short, I am cheering for the Tampa Bay Lightning, sheerly due to my dislike for the Dallas Stars. Alright, bit of a passionate ending to that video. There will be a part 2 and maybe a part 3 to this series, and if you guys DM me on Instagram for more, there'll just be more parts. Like, just keep them coming. I love this discussion. I find this so entertaining. I love doing the research to find this stuff out. So drop your comments. What do you think on these hot takes? I'd love to know your guys' opinion. Again, if you want your hot take featured in a video, I'm going to need you to DM me on Instagram. Give my account a follow. Give me a DM. And then it'll be qualified for the video. I'm not going to be taking them from the YouTube comments. However, please still comment what you thought of these. I'd still love to have discussion about this video in the comment section. That's what it's for. Other than that, I think I've said everything I need to say. And yeah, have a great day.